right, thank you for keeping it Monday Report. We're talking about sustainable waste management here, and my guests are still with me. Dr. Taiba, let me come to you. How do you make money from trash? This is the question I get from people all the time. And also, how do you see your contribution evolving over time? You're already dealing with the digital platform where you have an app that you explained earlier on to Edward Chwea. But how does one make money from trash?
Thank you for that question. So at Baustaka Enterprise, we leverage on technology, which is the Baustaka app, which promotes segregation of waste at source. So it promotes that by empowering the communities to be able to segregate their waste at source, which could be from the residential homes, and then via the app, they can trade that waste. For example, we have a feature for plastic waste trading. So you segregate your plastic waste, you trade it for a cash incentive via the app, and immediately after trading it, you get paid the cash incentive. Again, via the mobile app, you accumulate points which can be redeemed for outpatient health services. Yes. So via the app, we are able to ensure that the communities can create income-generating opportunities from the segregated waste via the app. Yeah. That's one. And for Baustaka, from the innovative solutions where we pay the community for segregating the waste, where they get to learn that the waste has value, for example, plastic waste. How we make money is we charge residential homes, we charge corporates, and we charge commercial institutions where we come in and we offer waste management services. So if we come and offer management services, you pay us. But via the app, if you segregate the waste supposed to be like the Sustainable Waste Management Act, you get onto the app and you get into the plastic trading feature, we pay you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how will this evolve over time, in your view? Because also one other thing that people are wondering is what will it take for you to upscale nationwide?
Yes. So at the moment, right now, we were piloting, and now we are at the stage where we want to scale across the coast region of Kenya and possibly across the country. And we also want to add value to the waste that we are segregating. So at Baustaka, we have an initiative. It's a strategic initiative known as the Baustaka Eco Champion Program, where we empower local communities, especially the young girls, the youth, and the women, to become environmental ambassadors. So their primary goal is to go into the community and advocate and champion for sustainable waste management practices. So we thought we don't want to stop there. So right now we've set up an eco-circular hub, which is integrating the principles of circular economy. We have the digital platform where you can make money. Now we want to come together as communities to see how we can make an end product out of that waste, and then we sell that end product. For example, we want to start making keychains. We already have a prototype of a pavement block where we want to ensure that that segregated waste goes all the way to an end product so that the communities can actually make more money from the segregated waste.
Okay. And everything, Dr. Ayubi, there's issues that have been raised. One, unauthorized waste managers, another one, engaging informal groups. Let's start with what Omiti had raised there as a concern. How are you engaging the informal groups when it comes to dealing with waste management?
For the informal groups, when the law was being developed, that issue came up in a big way. And in the Act, Sustainable Waste Management Act, the informal groups who are located in counties, because waste is, as I said, is devolved, they are supposed, all the informal groups are supposed to register themselves with the counties so that the county knows who they are, so that they can plan for them in terms of capacity building, in terms of any assistance, for example, with personal protective equipment, PPEs. And also, there is also this aspect of extended producer responsibility. You know, in the law, and especially the regulation that is about to be gazetted, we have indicated clearly that we have come up with a formula, and in the formula, there is the aspect of involving everybody who plays a part in the value chain, the waste management value chain. And some of these people are the waste pickers. And so far, we have held meetings with them, meetings together with the producers, the big companies in this country, and they have agreed on prices. And actually, some of the companies owned by the producers have already released prices for different products. So right now, most of the products we have in Kenya, there is already a price already given by the producers to the waste pickers. And the price is graduated such that there is that money that is going to the recycler, the money that is going to the aggregator, and the one that is going to the waste picker. So they are already factored in, and we make sure that the prices are determined in a discussion, in a collaborative manner with the waste pickers. So that is an area that has been adequately addressed. The NEMA will continue to follow up that discussion. It is captured in our extended producer responsibility plan that is supposed to be submitted to NEMA by the producer responsibility organizations that is represented here by James. Yeah. So we have not forgotten them. Actually, they are at the center of waste management, and what we want is money to trickle down to them. Now, we are using the extended producer responsibility to help us clean the country. So far, since February this year, we have managed to take enforcement action of to over 180 companies. 180 companies have been punished by NEMA because their waste,
the EPR.
Yes, because their waste was found in our rivers. So if we find waste, a product that is labeled a certain company in the river, we have taken enforcement action on them. We have demanded that they clean up the place, and they also work with the local groups to make sure that they compensate them for helping them to remove waste from the environment. And we will continue with this so that waste picking becomes an occupation, because already waste is money, waste is valuable. And in the process, if you have problematic waste that is not recyclable, then you will have to pay more, because after they collect and then you pick it up, where will you take it? Maybe you take it to the dump site, but remember there are also waste pickers there. So maybe they will pick your product again, and then you pay a second time and a third time. That cost will deter Kenya having products that are problematic, so that we transition slowly towards materials that are recyclable and zero waste, like it is anticipated in our law.
Has this been published? Because I haven't seen the 180 companies you're talking about that have failed in the extended responsibility.
We did publish 29 initially, and the companies came and pleaded with us that they are ready to work with us to make sure that they comply. And actually, they are complying. They are doing well. The first phase of the 29 companies, they cleaned all the sites. The 85 companies, the second phase involved 85 companies. They did a good job. And now we have 75 companies who are cleaning a river around Orodua, going all the way to Gong. And we will continue to do the same. Actually, what you have heard about cleaning Nairobi River, because it is the issue that is trending now, EPR will be a major component in helping us to clean the river. Actually, solid waste should not be there in our environment, because the moment we associate it with you, a producer, then we take enforcement action immediately.
Okay. So Nairobi River will be cleaned mostly based on EPR, which is extended producer responsibility.
Solid
Most
waste.
of these companies will be the ones clean.
Yes, solid waste. We can assure Kenyans that by the end of this year, there should be no solid waste in our environment. Okay. We can assure them that.
Yeah, James, I see you smiling. Is there something that can be achieved?
So it's something we've constantly been at loggerheads with Dr. Ayub. Quite a chunk of the companies he's talking about are my members.
Yes.
The ad hoc approach that NEMA is taking poses the risk of us legitimizing bad behavior, where it is okay for James to dump waste in the river because company YZ will come and clean tomorrow. How sustainable it is, we are asking for answers from NEMA. Because the reality is some of these things first we need to recognize that we are dealing with a problematic challenge of behavior change. This is something that could easily take up to 30 years to be able to encourage behavior change. He'll tell you for sure that in some instances where we've gone to clean those rivers, we are cleaning a specific site, 50 meters down the line, someone is dumping fresh waste. So that begs the question, is this a sustainable model? Yes.
Trevor, I can explain. It's very sustainable in the sense that what we are asking the companies to do is to put a value on their waste. Every piece of waste should have a value. The moment it is valued and there is a price for collecting, then everybody, when they see it, even that person who is dumping in the river, they will quickly come there and collect because it is valuable. Right now what is happening is everybody is bringing things into this country. They just mind bringing in and make their profits, but they don't mind what will happen to that packaging after the person has used the item. So the waste is, the burden is left to the county governments.
Okay. Of course. But James, what do you suggest as something more sustainable?
Of course, we need to first appreciate that the EPR law is still relatively new in the country. Companies need some significant amount of time to be able to comply. The government itself has not gazetted the regulations that should operationalize the EPR provisions. So a number of interventions can be used at a go. So of course the consumer-facing bit where we're encouraging proper disposal of waste. There's also the long-term intervention where we are working with these producers, and quite a number of our members are into these discussions, where we are saying at the beginning of production processes, design for recyclability in mind, so that we are not having 90% of the packaging coming into the country having no value. Because the reality is what is being collected is valuable, what is left in the dump site is what is deemed to be invaluable. But the design for recyclability is a whole process. It requires significant investments in terms of production processes, and this should take a bit of time. So the idea is, let us allow for EPR to take its space. This is a concept that was predominantly common in the global north. They're yet to fully implement it. While we're trying to leapfrog certain processes and imagine that we can be able to fully implement EPR within 3 years of introduction of the law in the country.
And Omiti, you know, this is part of what you've been running as Kara. You've been trying to run a pilot on waste segregation at source. What have you found out? Because this is where the real issue really is.
Trevor, just like I said, a lot of people are segregating. There's some level of segregation at source happening. Even before the law came, I just told you that back at home, in Ushago, or at my place, or within our neighborhoods, people are trying to recycle, reuse. You know, all the newspapers people don't throw away. They wait and sell to someone. Bottles, there's a take-back scheme, which could be upscaled to work. What we need to do is, how do we push the polluters to pay? Just like Ayub is saying, how do we push those who are polluting, the producers who are polluting our...
Which are James members.
Yes, which are James members. A lot of things that are currently happening is greenwashing. Or they don't want to really engage with the communities to help remove this waste out of the environment. So our residents, I've just told you, I've just given a good example. In Kara, we have over 1,500 resident associations, already organized neighborhoods, with over 3 million residents in these spaces. Why can't we start with these people, see what is working and what is not working? And we've said people are willing to segregate so long as there is that information, which is power. So long as there is another major issue and a challenge is the issue of monitoring and reporting. Yes, you report to NEMA, you report to Kanjo, no one is taking action. People don't want to be accountable. How can we use technology to support us with monitoring and reporting on these issues of waste management, because we don't produce a lot of waste in Kenya. Waste is just mismanaged. You go to other countries like Denmark, where I've been, you find them even buying waste, but then the waste that they are producing at household level is huge compared to what Kenya is producing at household level. So waste is just mismanaged, not that we are producing a lot of waste.
Is that what you're thinking as well, Dr. Taiba, that we're just mismanaging the waste?
I'd like to comment. First and foremost, Kara is dealing with organized associations, right? Baustaka, on the ground, we deal with organized associations, high-end and middle-income communities, but also low-income communities. They're not organized.
At all.
At all. They're not organized at all. And it is in these communities where you have cultural resistance. It is in these communities where you see illegal dumping of waste. But what has worked for Baustaka is community policing reporting. See, what he's talking about, monitoring and monitoring of what is going on in the segregation at source. Even though we use Baustaka for data collection to be able to make more informed decisions, we also use the communities to report illegal dumping of waste. We use the communities to let us know which households are segregating, which households are not segregating, who can we go to so that we can capacity build them and empower them to become environmental ambassadors. So I think there's some kind of a disconnect between what we see on the ground with Kara, maybe because there's a system with them, but where we work at low-income communities, unfortunately, there is no system.
So how can that be levelized? How can it be made?
Can I just comment on that? When I first started, I mentioned that we work in all income levels. So you will find us in high-end estates like Muthaiga. You'll find our members in middle-income estate like Kilimani's. You'll find our members in low-income areas. I gave an example of, Makongeni, Kaloleni, Kibra. You will find our members there. But then we are saying in these low-income areas where they are organized resident associations, things tend to work. And this is why we came up with a model estate on waste management. We want to see what is working in high-income end areas, because they are already organized, collecting their waste, paying for it, and having service provider coming and collect it. The only problem is that the service providers that are collecting this waste from high-end estates, they come and dump it in low-income areas, yet they've been paid to take it to Dandora or wherever collection point is. So that is also a major challenge, that the issue of access to environmental justice. We pay you to collect and go deliver our waste to Dandora. You collect it and deliver it or dispose it illegally in a low-income area. So that is a challenge. So organized estates, because they have their monitoring system, they can pay for these services, they can easily deliver. For the low-income areas who cannot afford, but then I've seen it, they are ready and willing to pay. They are provided services are being delivered, they are willing and ready to pay for these services. For those who can't pay, why can't now the county come in and support establishing systems so that it works? So we want to see what is working in the high-end income area, middle income area, estates like Nyayo Estate doing a lot with over 30,000 residents, 5,000. Ngei Estate, where we are piloting this with over 3,000 residents, you see? Waste management services are working. Why is it not working in the low-income area?
But James, is there a one-size-fits-all, like what Omiti is saying, or do we have to then stagger it depending on what?
I'm shaking my head. I'm feeling like Omiti is so detached from reality, because what is happening, what will be happening in Karen cannot necessarily work in Korogosh. Even we've done waste categorization surveys and whatever, the volumes of wastes and the types coming within the three categories of the residential spaces are totally different. And that would mean that each group or neighborhood would require different models of collection and disposal of waste. So what he's saying might not necessarily apply on all fronts. It would require adaptive models on each of the levels of our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but you are trying to put in a consumer-led transformation. Who are you partnering with this, and what is the strategy to then increase it, considering that there are different places, like you say?
So, of course, the bulk of our conversation primarily focuses on the consumer. We are trying to focus on ensuring that they have that agency feeling, that first you can actually earn from your waste. The second thing is, even if you're not earning, then you have an obligation for the upcoming generation to try and hand over a clean and healthy environment. So giving you that agency feeling and inspire you to take action, positive action. The other bit, and these are people now we are working with, the waste management operators. So after the consumers are properly disposed of their waste, they segregated their waste. Who is off-taking this waste? So trying to also increase their capacities. So here we work with what we are calling a subsidy model. So if Bostaka's collection and recycling capacity at present is 60 tons per month, we try and see how can we be able to scale up your capacity to say get to 80 metric tons per month. So we give them some sort of a subsidy to be able to encourage them to collect more. Of course, also expand their production lines to include other fractions that would ordinarily not be able to be collected from the environment. Yes.
So, Dr. Ayub, so what is the grand plan here? Because there seems to be an issue, first of all, of illegal dumping, and then generally for the country, which direction should we be going?
That's a very good question. What I see in this consumer-led transformation, it needs a lot of support from the county government and even from NEMA, in the sense that it is very sad that people are segregating their waste, and then when the truck comes, it is mixed again. Because in the existing receptacles at the dump sites, there is no requirement that you cannot bring in mixed waste. So the challenge we are facing as NEMA is the county governments, because waste is a devolved function. But what I see, because I'm in charge of enforcement, every other day there is an incident, a complaint about waste dumped along the road, in the river. Okay? And interestingly, when we release an order that county government, there is this waste at a particular place, clear it within 7 days, it is done. And then after that, after a few weeks, it comes back. So what NEMA would like to see, our grand plan still remains that the existing dump sites be reorganized. And then lock that gate and start with the private service providers. Let them not bring in mixed waste. And then let them create awareness to the communities. What James is talking about, community-driven. Community-driven can be best done by the waste service providers, making sure that they don't carry mixed waste from the people. And at the same time, my brother from Kara talked about the fine of 20,000, where the county should do a lot of enforcement so that people realize that we are serious about recovering as much waste as possible, and it should not be mixed so that it retains its value. So if I come to your home, I would expect you to provide me with a receipt from a waste service provider to show that you have already engaged a waste service provider who will take that waste to the right place, and then community report if there is any dumping within their vicinity. And like I said, EPR, extended producer responsibility, when it starts working properly, then you will also become a waste picker, because the waste in your house, you will keep it safely, nicely, you will package it properly, because when you take it to the material recovery facility, there is money from the producers to compensate you for not putting that waste in the bin. So that is the grand plan. It is possible to clean Kenya. Kenya has no waste. The only waste that is documented in our sustainable waste management policy is only 5%. So since the country generates about 25,000 tons of waste per day, the waste that is there is only 5% of that. The rest of it is useful. So it is possible. We don't require a lot of donors for this. It is possible to do it with the facilities that we have. And then once we do it well, the recyclers will come and invest in this country.
Okay. Dr. Taiba seems to disagree in terms of the waste management, because you also mentioned in your earlier on conversation with Edward Chua that the biggest concern is organic waste, right? So how then, do you agree with what Dr. Ayub is saying, that most of the waste, we can actually deal with it on our own?
Yes, I agree with him, only if we have material recovery facilities.
The MRFs, which we don't.
Which we don't, unfortunately.
And there's no money to do that away from the county levels, because every single time they have a county integrated development plan, which is a CIDP, they say they don't have enough resources to build MRF facilities.
But we have designated waste receptacles.
But we've also already said that not all counties will be able to have a functional MRF, because the amount of waste that they produce is not enough to sustain the MRF. So is there a gap in terms of policy requirement and the reality in the ground?
I wish there could have been one demonstrating that they have this reorganized receptacle, and then we could listen to them. Right now, what we have is they are not complying with our law.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That's a challenge we have.
Let me take some feedback, then I'll come to you for closing remarks. James, I see you have a response, a reaction to give, but let's see what you're saying first of all online. Climax Johnny says, ask Dr. Macharia to explain why no single contact numbers for NEMA displayed on their website works. Sewer leakages for Ruiwasco, in Ruiru, Ebenezer, all over, yet when we call NEMA, none of their numbers go through.
No, the numbers work. The numbers work. They're in my department, and there is a desk. They respond every day. Even we call our customers. If you report an incident to NEMA, we will respond to the incident, and we will call back to ask you, were you assisted? Is the incident over? So that we close it. We normally open and close.
Dr. Taiba disagrees with James.
No, try it now.
His responses.
For you, the response.
Try it now.
Dr. Taiba, do you agree or you don't want to make a comment on that?
No comment.
Yes, Ovid.
I want to comment on this, and this is what I said, that why can't we use technology to support with monitoring and reporting some of these issues? You see what I have to call, which means if there is no one at that call center, I'll not get feedback. If I write a letter, today I'll write a letter to the Director of Enforcement. The Director of Enforcement will mark this letter to his Deputy Director. The Deputy Director will mark this letter to his another Deputy Director. Those two deputies or three deputies will mark this letter to the sub-county director. The sub-county director will mark this letter to
the deputy sub-county.
The deputy sub-county will mark this letter to the environment officer. The environment officer will mark this letter to the supervisor. The supervisor will mark this letter to the person on the ground, who is at the
enforcer.
Who is the enforcer? Why can't we use the technology that if I report today, all these people who are in this line can see this on the back end? I can give, you can give me real-time feedback that we've seen this, so that if the environment officer who is at the ground, the enforcer, is not responsive, it automatically escalates to the next level. I don't know why we don't want to use technology.
Yes. Dr. Ayub, you can respond to the use of technology to finish on the...
Well, we use technology. And actually, let me confirm that we are very fast in responding to incidents. Actually, our target is to respond immediately. And what we do, most of the complaints that we have are on noise, for example, and that is the work of county. You know, it is a devolved function. It only becomes a NEMA issue when it persists. Okay? So immediately we receive an incident, we relate to the county, our county offices and the county government, and we follow up. Okay? So as we feel that fine, there are always gaps in technology. We are improving, but with the current technology, we make sure that we relay our incident as quickly as possible to the responsible officers.
All right.
Not the chain he has talked about.
Okay. Yes. Let's bring up some of the feedback and wind up on this. I'll come to all of you for closing remarks. Lisa says, I'm a teacher. Waste management and segregation is not in our schools, neither in class or in practice. If students can learn about this from an early age, then this culture can be inculcated in time. Okay, interesting. Great. Okelo Molimu says, to boost the waste management efforts, county governments should employ street families who would move from street to street collecting waste. Secondly, all landlords should be compelled to establish proper waste management systems before being issued with certificates of occupancy. Okay? Rutwa Sam says, if people are not involved, that is, they are facilitated in ways they are able to discard all trash in homes conveniently, collected shortest time possible, unlike now, it's just dumped in designated areas for days, plus sewage needs cover-up, all areas. Okay. Okisa says, how hard can it be to make laws that mandate property owners to ensure that they provide waste management systems as a mandatory requirement? Okay. Omiti, I'll start with you, closing remarks. What is the one thing you want the listeners here and the viewers to hear from you today? What is your rallying call?
That we don't have a lot of waste in Kenya. Waste is just mismanaged.
Okay.
And for us to sustainably manage our waste, we need to go through organized groups. And organized groups like resident associations are voluntary in nature. And they are existing to protect and secure their neighborhoods. Okay. If we use this as entry point, then we will get it right if we want to sustainably manage our waste.
Okay. Dr. Taiba?
Waste has wealth. It's that simple.
Yeah?
I think everybody
and
needs
you're living
to understand
evidence
that
to it.
Waste has,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ayub.
Let's all report any incidents, any waste that is lying in your neighborhood. Just tell us so that we alert the county government, and we will follow up to make sure that action is taken. Do not live within that environment that has that pungent smell from waste, the environment that is not aesthetic. Just report using our hotline numbers, which are on our website. We will respond and make sure that that waste, we push the counties to collect that waste so that we live in a clean and healthy environment.
Okay. Yeah. James, closing remarks?
Trevor, mine would be to make reference to a book. Yeah. It's titled Who Will Cry When I Die? Mine would be a call to action to our viewers. Who will cry if you don't take care of your environment? Because the reality is we don't have a spare Mother Earth. You essentially have to take inspired action at individual household level, properly dispose of your waste. It's really disturbing that in this generation, time and age, we still have people throwing litter from moving vehicles. That should stop moving forward. The idea is you really have a role to play as far as protection of the environment is concerned.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much for making time this evening. This is a conversation we'll keep having because behavior change takes a while. And by the way, waste management is solely part of your responsibility. Whenever you're in the house, what do you do with your waste? That's the first question you should always ask yourself. Dr. Ayub Macharia, Director, Environmental Enforcement, NEMA, thank you very much for making time. James Odongo, CEO, Kipro, thank you very much for making time. Dr. Taiba Hatimi, CEO, Baustaka Enterprise, thank you very much for making time. And Omitio Diambo, Programs Manager, Kenya Alliance of Residents Association, KARA. And thank you all for watching this conversation. We'll keep having this conversation more frequently so that we create awareness as much as we can. All right. On behalf of everybody who made this possible, we say good night and God bless.